Now, hold on. Before we start the show, real quick, I know y'all lost more money on y'all parlay. All I ask is this, man. Hit that subscribe and hit the bell. It's free. I promise you it ain't cost you nothing to support somebody. I'm just trying to reach 100K subscribers. Let's get to the video.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe they told me that I would never make it? Now we smiling in their faces,
Man, y'all crazy.
That might be
Heat
the best
bomb
round we ever
was,
seen. I ain't gonna lie.
he was on steroids, bro. He had to sit out. He was on steroids for real.
Now I give you
like legit was on steroids, bro. I'm allegedly, but like he had to sit out. Bro, y'all remember when they told him like they
there
gonna
goes the
start?
Clutch Sports allegations.
Y'all remember that though?
No.
When they was like he got everybody. They started testing for HGH, and they was like, yo, and he had to sit out. Like he said his back was hurt, and he sat out for like 3 weeks, and he came back skinny. This is just I was in the league. I remember.
You seen his dad? His dad on that balcony. He on that new juice. That slide like.
Would you be surprised at all if we find out that LeBron is on vacation, I don't know, in Europe over the course of the next week or two or 3 to 4 weeks while he's not playing basketball in the NBA? Would you be further surprised that when he comes back from that European vacation, if he suddenly is able to run and play basketball like a kid half his age?
For years, whispers like that have been floating around the dark corners of the sports world. And now they're getting a lot louder. The bombshell just dropped. For the first time in his 23-year-old career, LeBron James will miss a season opener due to injury. The official story from the Lakers is that he sidelined with a sciatica nerve, right? It's an issue that's apparently been bugging him for months. But for the NBA's ultimate Iron Man, a player's, famous for his, durability, and, this news is raising some big questions, right? Is this Father Time finally catching up? Or is this a convenient excuse for something else? We got a lot to break down. So the official diagnosis is sciatica. But the timing feels, suspicious, right? Commentator Craig Norton has publicly, called BS on this whole thing.
And I'm calling BS on it.
Well, why?
Because I just saw him dancing last week, and that's not to do with sciatica, right? I hate to be that guy, but this seems to be the current norm for LeBron, where he's not ready to, either going into like an all-star break or to start a season or doing a quote-unquote meaningless part of the season and disappears. Now, I want to be very careful and clear how I say this because I don't know what he's doing or not doing. Would you be surprised at all if we find out that LeBron is on vacation, I don't know, in Europe over the course of the next week or two or 3 to 4 weeks while he's not playing basketball in the NBA? Would you be further surprised that when he comes back from that European vacation, if he suddenly is able to run and play basketball like a kid half his age? Would that surprise anybody out there?
Of course not. It's LeBron.
And here's the thing. We're told this injury actually happened way back in late July or early August during a workout. And he's been dealing with it for over 2 months. It's not exactly the sudden injury it's been made out to be. Still, many are skeptical. This is LeBron James we're talking about. A guy who spends millions of dollars, right, to keep his body in perfect condition. The idea that a nerve issue has been festering for months, only to knock him out right before the start of the season, it's got people wondering, is he really that hurt? Or is this a strategic rest period disguised as medical leave? After all, fans have accused him of milking injuries before. This is not new. People are, have a lot of questions about this, and it's not coming out of nowhere. This plugs right into a long history of rumors that have been following LeBron for years. It started with other players like Kevin Garnett, right?
You seen his dad? His dad on that balcony. He on that new juice. That slide like.
Once publicly said, LeBron James on that new juice. He said he on that balco. The lab at the heart of the biggest steroid scandal in sports. That's a heavy accusation from one legend to another. And then you got Jeff Teague, who flat out claimed on his podcast that LeBron used steroids during his Miami Heat days. Teague did walk it back on Instagram, of course, Clutch Sports related kind of guy. I don't know what he was thinking he was saying that. He said, I was joking about LeBron. He was just that dominant, chill. But the clip went viral already, right? The debate was on. Was he really joking, or did he backtrack after feeling pressure from Clutch Sports and the millions, of course, associated with LeBron James? And the wildest claim that comes from outside of the league is former UFC fighter Chael Sonnen, who has openly admitted to using PEDs, has repeatedly said that he and LeBron share the same drug guy for EPO, a substance that jacks up your endurance. So Sonnen's never, offered shred proof, but his claims are shockingly direct. And one thing I will say is LeBron did put out a cease and desist or some type of legal lawsuit about him and an AI thing there that was going on the internet of him being pregnant. So you would think if somebody like Jeff Teague or this UFC fighter that said something about him using steroids, that he would put out a cease and desist or seek some type of legal action, right? Problem is he hasn't. Why? I don't know. Would you feel more offended if someone accused you of steroids, or if somebody puts you as pregnant when you know you're not pregnant and it's just a stupid AI video? What would you be deemed more, I guess you could say, hurtful to your career? That's where we have to question things. Anyhow, maybe the most, concrete link to this whole chain of suspicious behavior, right, when it comes to LeBron's steroid use is the biogenesis scandal from over a decade ago. It was a huge doping operation that took down some of the biggest stars in baseball for years. And that's all we knew. But in 2023, ESPN got its hands on unredacted federal documents that revealed a few names tied to the investigation. So among those names were two people from LeBron's inner circle: his lifelong friend and business manager, and a personal trainer for his wife. So let's be crystal clear. The federal authorities investigated this and they completely cleared LeBron of doing any wrongdoing or any use, right? But for the skeptics, the fact that his name is even caught up in the biggest doping investigation in the U.S. sports history, right, is more than enough to keep rumors alive of LeBron on that juice. Simply on that juice. Now, on the flip side, right, you have to look at the facts. LeBron James has never failed a drug test in 23 years, right? The NBA has a drug testing policy that includes random tests for substances like HGH. LeBron's defenders will, point in that direction, right? And they'll say, hey, he has insane work ethic. This guy is famously obsessive about his health, spending a fortune every single year to maintain his body. And sciatica is a real, documented injury. For an aging athlete in a high-impact sport like basketball, a condition caused by a strain and, and compression on the sciatic nerve is, it's plausible, right? I mean, he's 40, right? It could be a simple case of a 40-year-old body finally showing some wear and tear, so you're left with two very different stories, right? So on one hand, the official narrative, alleged athlete is getting older and dealing with common age-related injury. Nothing's too severe here, right? But on the other hand, right, you have a pile of suspicious circumstances. A lingering injury that conveniently takes him out right at the season, right? Right at the season opener. So a long history of persistent, though unproven, accusations from his peers and his name being tangled up in a massive doping scandal, even though he was cleared. Is this sciatic, nerve issue, is it just a straightforward injury, or is it a maintenance period that fits a very similar pattern of whispers? I'm not here to, tell you what to believe, but the questions are definitely out there. So what do you think about this? You think this is a conspiracy? Or do you think this is, something that is true? Do you think LeBron is out here doing the doping to maintain his legacy, to maintain his numbers, so he can be propped up in this GOAT debate, which we know, he has no chance standing next to Jordan. Anyhow, he wants to be there. I need to hear your thoughts about this. Let me know what you think. My name is Tyler. This is Tyler Rose TV. I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Peace.